Hey guys, this is Limitless Lils. So I'm back with another book review. I finally have some time to sit down, record, and edit, so I'm back. This is my second take on this because I look like I was naked in the first one, even though I'm wearing a tube top. Therefore, this one should hopefully be better than the first one. So let's jump right into it. Again, I'm Limitless Lils. These are my book reviews. So typically how I like to do this is I'll run through the book, the page count, my top 3 takeaways from the book, if I would reread, and my overall score. And then again, the reason for doing the reread is just because what I like is not the same as to what you like. Therefore, take it with a grain of salt. Take what you like, leave what you don't. Your life. Do what you want. Jumping right into this. So I recently did a little library haul and I rented out 3 books. So I already finished the first one, which was How to Get a Man Without Getting Played by Bruce Bryans. I think I mentioned in my last video that this was a pretty small book. I was probably going to read it within 2 lunch breaks, which is exactly what I did. So this book, it mentions here, so it's 29 dating secrets to catch Mr. Right, set your standards, and eliminate time wasters. So it was a pretty quick read. It's only 4 chapters. So he has the 29 secrets spread within the 4 chapters. The total page count is 115 pages. So again, very quick read. With that being said, jumping right into what my top 3 takeaways were of the book is the first one is no different than what the Steve Harvey book said. It's just that men respect standards and boundaries. So get some. If you feel like you are flexible with your boundaries and your standards for the guy that you like, you need to reel that back in, because what you're actually doing is hurting yourself more than supporting yourself in that sense in dating. The man that wants to be with you will follow your standards and your boundaries because he wants to be with you. And it gives it a little bit of a chase. Men like the chase. He straight up addresses this book to the nice girls, which I definitely fall in line with. I am way too nice, way too often. Even when someone inconveniences me, I'm like, no, it's okay, especially if I want to romantically be with them. Mistake on my end, because again, where are they? Nowhere to be found. Therefore, I need to stop doing that, which I think I've been working on. The second thing that he mentions in this book is that as a woman in society, we have become so used to chasing things that we want from our career, our personal life, our goals, that we have forgotten that women are the prize. So we do not need to be chasing men for a relationship. I 100% agree with that. I do not believe as a woman I should be chasing a man. I'm sorry, I think it's madness for a man to essentially have to do half the work in the long run versus what a woman would have to do, with a family, and I have to chase you still. I am not here for that. I do firmly believe that the man that wants to be with me will approach me, and that is what Bruce Bryans is saying here, is that if a man wants to be with you, or he sees you and he's attracted to you and wants the opportunity to get to know you, he will go up to you and try, so you don't need to chase it. You just need to be in your feminine energy and they will come to you. Because by chasing, you are actually being masculine. And I agree with that. To me, when I have done the little bit of chasing that I've done in the past, it felt masculine. It didn't feel like I was the prize anymore. It felt like he was the prize. And that, I know, is a common joke here in today's time, is that like men are the prizes. They think that they're the prizes, and I'm sorry, it's not for me. not anymore, especially after reading this book. Because it mentions in here that when you are in your feminine energy, not only will you attract, masculine men, but also to, along with that, you need to play into their ego, because men, whether we like it or not, do kind of have a more fragile ego than women. They want to know that they're the best and that no one can give us the same things that they are giving us, so that they are the only one that we have our eyes on. But you need to do it in a way that doesn't seem desperate. So, and he gives examples in here on how to do it, which I really, admired, because some of the things that he was saying, it was a little bit difficult for me to digest it without an example, and he gave examples under all of them. The last and final takeaway for me from this book was that even if you feel insecure as a woman, you need to pretend to be high value. You need to fake it till you make it. You need to essentially put on this facade of confidence, hold your standards closely, and project that for whoever tries to get romantically involved with you, because men can't tell the difference from what's real and what's fake. So that's just what you feel. So if you are acting like a high value woman, by cutting off certain things that don't work for you, aka a man texting you after a certain time, or drunk texting you, or only inviting you out last minute, or never calling, or writing you on social media only. There's a million things, and all of those were kind of similar, that he mentions in this book, that men are typically looking for high value women to settle down with. So, in order to attract that kind of man, you also need to be a high value woman. And sometimes that just means faking it, so that you feel high value, so that you can put yourself in that energy, in that space, as if you are high value, even if you don't feel it. And you need to do the things that show that you're high value, so high value typically goes hand in hand with going to the gym. He mentions that in the book, that the women that are high value typically go to the gym and take care of themselves. They typically eat cleaner, they typically, don't let men invite them out last minute for dates. And that's what you need to do in order to attract a man like that. You need to get comfortable with those boundaries. So I feel like for myself, I'm definitely getting more comfortable with that, and saying no when something doesn't work for me, versus being so nicey nice all the time. One of the examples that he gives is that if a man, is running more than 30 minutes late to your date, you should not go, because he doesn't respect your time and you're looking like a desperate woman versus being high value. And if you do go, just go ahead and have it in your brain that he's not the one for you, which it was a really interesting perspective for me. But Bruce Bryans really hit it on the nose with some of the things that he said in here. There was one thing that he had mentioned in here that was so spot on for my life that I had to actually look up Bruce Bryans to see if somehow we had encountered each other in the past and I had told him or his wife this story, and that's why he wrote about it, because it was just so accurate. So after reading that, I really started to pay attention to everything that he was saying, because it was word for word exactly an encounter that I had been through. There was no difference between the encounter he was describing in the book and something that had actually happened to me. So I really like this book. I know that I rented it from the library. I do plan on buying the book because I would like to reference it. I made a joke to my family that this is like my dating Bible now. So would I reread? 100% yes. Absolutely yes. And then my overall score out of 5 is going to be a 4.8. The only reason I'm not giving it a 5 is because he does use a lot of words in this book that are kind of difficult and not in everyday language. And like I mentioned before in one of my previous videos, I don't typically look words up. I just try to use context clues. But he would use a word that was difficult and then just kind of random words next to it. So there's no way for me to pick up context clues or several hard words in one sentence. And typically he did it in his subchapters, which means that for every subchapter, I'm on dictionary.com looking the word up. So the only thing I would change is making it a little bit more casual in language, but I can also appreciate it because it gives me new terms, you know, to expand my my vocabulary. So, you know, I overall really liked this book. I would absolutely reread. If you are a single woman in the dating field and, you know, trying to find someone, you know, and it feels like all of this dating is duds, I highly recommend reading Bruce Bryans' How to Get a Man Without Getting Played and taking some notes down. It's a fantastic book. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. So I'll see you guys later and make sure to check it out.